Oh, wow, Mr. Sarcasm, yeah. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. In your house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Josh Joseph standing on his decisions. He is the voice. There is no choice. We as them boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast just like cruiserweight action. In your house is the perfect distraction. Pumpers in your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Smoke. What is up, guys? What is cracking? It's the Con-Man, and I am in your house. And you guys already know the vibes. We slide on through. We're here to give you that work. When it comes to this professional wrestling business, and guys, it is Thursday. And once again, I am happy to be back here with you guys here at In Your House. And guys, because it's Thursday. That means I got a chance to chill out, kick back after our great show yesterday, the ECW Watch Along series. Another great episode, another great match. What a fun time it was to watch Juventud Guerrera versus Rey Mysterio in 1996 at the best 2 out of 3 falls match. Check that out. It was a great episode. But after that, I got a chance to check out Dynamite. And I thought the Dynamite put out a great effort last night for sure. You had 3 title matches. You had one Eliminator championship match. And you had a meaningful main event that has high stakes that will lead to an opportunity against the MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Omega versus who? It's Andrade. It is Andrade, and I that shocked the hell out of me. But we're going to talk about that. I don't want to get too deep into it. I got to bring on my great co-host here who join me each and every week. And of course, I was with this guy yesterday. Yesterday, he was, is, and will continue to be on Wednesdays, the educator of Extreme. But every day, he's the voice. Josh Joseph, what is up,
How goes it,
brother
house? How
man?
goes it, household? Are there anybody out there who follow the OG Tony path? I know I'm a cult member. Yeah, I pay my dues every month. You know, it's a fun time. I got my pen. It's a fun time. So come join us. But we're here. We're ready to talk some AEW Dynamite. And I got to say, House, I'm with you. Last night was a decent show. It was good. It's story pushing. We got a lot of championship matches. We got a surprising victory to some. Not to me because I've been worshiping at the altar of Andrade for years. I was the one following him on Collision. So fans, get ready,
Yes, you
strap
were.
in, and let's talk some Dynamite.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I love it. And definitely that's going to be a part of the conversation later. All the work that you've done covering Andrade with Collision and even his time with WWE in a series with Carmelo Hayes. And we'll talk about that later. But before we talk any Dynamite, we got to bring in our OG here, the original gangster of professional wrestling. He's representing Gonzo's Sports Room and Gonzo's Wrestling Room. This is one of the hardest working men in wrestling podcasting, doing 9 shows a week. Oh,
What?
gee, Tony Gonzalez, what is up, brother man?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. Like I said earlier, just trying to stay warm.
Yeah,
It's
oh
hard
yeah.
on a hard on an old body, but hanging in there. I thought the show was pretty solid last night. I did tell you earlier today in a chat that I thought the first half, first 40 minutes really didn't hit for me, and I thought it
Yeah.
really picked up when Ciampa came out. I thought the show really caught fire after that there and then on. So I thought it was a good show. I loved the little surprise with Andrade. I'm a big Andrade fan back from NXT. So I like that. Uh, I enjoyed Tekla's match. I know you said earlier it didn't hit for you, but I enjoy Tekla. I just like her
Love her.
her style. I mean, just what she does. So I'm a big fan of her, and so I enjoyed that. I thought the FTR match was hard hitting, but maybe a little too hard hitting because we got a guy got injured in the match. But I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, I'd give it probably if the first half had been a little stronger, I probably would have given it an 8. I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay,
Seven and a
7.5.
half.
I think that's fair. I think that's where I was gonna be at too, most definitely. And yeah, I mean, this was a good episode of Dynamite though. Just because I mean, for me, 7.5 on a weekly show, that's not bad. That's good. That's decent. We also got a chance to see Ace Austin make his Dynamite debut. Ace Austin has worked around this area a lot. I've worked some shows with him, so it was great to see him make his Dynamite debut. And Kenny Omega has continued his story pushing of just getting solid win after solid win. This is exactly the lane that I think he said he was going to go in, where he said, it doesn't matter if I have to face somebody that I like or face somebody that I hate. I'm going to keep getting victories until you have to put me in the AEW world. And that, I mean, the scene for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship is loaded right now with so much great potential. We just had Bandito a few weeks ago, the Dynamite Diamond Ring winner. We have Brody King in the mix now. He's got an eliminator match next week. You still have Hangman in the mix. Swerve is in the mix. Andrade's found his way in there. And there's so many targets on MJF's back right now. I really enjoy it. I really love what I'm watching. Voice, where are you at? What is some of your, at least give me one of your highlights from Dynamite?
From Dynamite, one of my highlights was one thing I didn't really think was going to grab my attention so much, but it
Okay.
did, and it was
Okay.
the tag team match. I know I enjoy FTR, and the other team was Doyle and what's the other guy's
Davis
name?
and Doyle. Davis
Okay,
and Doyle. Yeah,
Davis
from the
and
Don
Doyle.
Callis family.
Yeah, I hadn't seen much about them. I
Hmm.
mean, I know that they've been talked about, especially heavy in this episode up until their match. Um, I was very shocked. Usually it takes me a little bit to see a tag team kind of like gel together and kind of like, because I don't think, am I mistaken, but they're kind of like a tag team that Don Callis kind of put together, or were they a tag
Yeah.
team before?
No, they were not a tag team before. Jake Doyle, Jake something, he wrestled in like our territory and he was mainly predominantly a singles.
Okay. Okay. So they still have a little work to do, but they're doing fantastic as a new tag team, a newer
Yeah.
tag team. But like we heard, there was an injury um, in a bicep in this one. Was that right, Tony?
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Those things happen. Really, is there anything to fault? I mean, I know FTR is one of the hardest working tag teams out there, and their matches are definitely they're that old style of brutality that you're going to
They're
get from
snug, bro. They're
yeah,
snug.
traditional like Dick the Bruiser style wrestling. You're going to get heavy chops like an Arn Anderson being in
Yep.
there, and I knew I was going to like the FTR aspect, but altogether the tag team, because honestly on this card when I first looked at it, I thought maybe adding the tag team title match was a little heavy-handed for this before
Hmm.
before it aired, but it played well into the show. They highlighted this match, I thought, very well throughout the show, um, and the anticipation for these two teams to meet and go for the titles. So that's where I was. It was surprising to me, but overall, that was my style of match. I really enjoyed it, and I thought that the new tag team of Davis and Doyle,
Yeah,
um, were brilliant. I mean, they have a little work to do, and obviously there's going to be a little roadblock in this until he heals. But at
sure.
the end of the day, it was a good match. It was a decent match. And I mean,
Good showing for
FTR's
them.
there's somebody I would get nervous if I was a tag team going up against on a Dynamite show, because like them or hate them, they get reactions. And
And they were
I
standard in tag team wrestling.
exactly. I mean, FTR is that's where it's at for me in tag team right now. They're like the Dudleys to me. Like
Yeah,
for this generation, I'm not saying they wrestle like the Dudleys or anything like that,
sure.
but we grew up loving the Dudleys and seeing their domination in the tag team world. Um, so that's where I'm at with FTR.
I like that. I like that. There was to me, man, like OG was saying, which he's making sense. I think it did start off a little bit like sputtering a little bit because it
Hmm.
was like jumped out of the gate there with that Kenny Omega match and Rocky Romero, who they've wrestled a million times, so it's like they know each other so well. But when I think of a Rocky Romero and Kenny Omega match, I think of like New Japan or the times they've wrestled in Ring of Honor or something like that. So we didn't get that. It was more condensed for television. But that's okay because it was such a loaded card. I got to tell you before I get to the subject that I really want to break down, because there was something that stood out to me on this show that maybe didn't stand out to a lot of people. This was the first time that I've seen El Clone wrestle in a singles match. And to me, I was like, yo, this is fresh. This is new. This is different. I like the whole. So, once again, first time I'd seen him wrestle in the singles. So, I didn't get a chance to. It was the first time I saw his entrance. The first time I saw, like, I like how he does the thing where they have the glitch on the screen. And then he's kind of doing the thing where he does this. And then he puts his fingers together and then they turn it. And then the camera turns with him. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a like cyberpunkish type character almost, and I dig it. But then he wrestled Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship, and man, that dude, he's good. Like a lot. Not saying that I just didn't know what to expect. And man, the way he countered, I don't know if you saw this, OG, when he was watching the match. I'm sure you did, and I want your opinions on it because I know that it was like, it had me feeling a lot of different ways. What did you think about the way El Clone countered the Jay Driller?
Oh, I loved it. I haven't seen much of him. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of Collision. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
every now and then, because there's a lot of stuff going on Saturdays. There's pay
oh
per
yeah,
views. I
sure,
watch boxing. I watch UFC. So I don't watch a
sure,
lot of Collision. I'm being honest. But
sure.
I haven't seen a lot of El Clone, and I was impressed. I agree with you. I thought the counter was pretty interesting. It was different. I hadn't seen it countered that way before.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, hold on, wait a minute, because at first it was like, did he just no sell the Jay Driller? But then when you realize how he kind of moves around and his, because when he flips out of moves, he almost comes up like a cyborg type style, like almost coming up from the dead. And it's kind of an interesting way that he kips up, and he kipped up in that way where it was like, okay, it was almost like this dude was fighting like a cyborg almost in a weird way. And that's the character that they're trying to portray with him, it seems like, is that he's this weird cyberpunkish cyborg type character that is also a lucha libre wrestler. I like it. I like the character. So that was something that stood out to me was El Clone and his match, and you had Mark Briscoe retain the championship. But I do think that El Clone will eventually hold that title, for sure. Um, but I wanna go back here and talk MJF. Continue with this title conversation talk because to me it's so compelling. Um, Brody King. Brody King now has an AEW title eliminator match against MJF next week. And of course, we all know how the eliminators go. But for anybody out there who's maybe a new AEW fan or doesn't really follow what they're doing, it is not an AEW championship match. It's an AEW championship eliminator match, which means if Brody King wins the match. He does not win the championship. He wins an opportunity at the championship. So I just want to be clear about that for you guys that are digging into AEW at the same time as we are. So I want to be clear about that. But I gotta tell you, MJF is a menace because we are talking about a Dynamite that was wrestling heavy voice, wrestling heavy OG. It was a wrestling heavy show. So for me to say this, that there was a segment, an in-ring segment that's continuing a story, pushing a story, was a highlight for me, and that's because MJF is MJF. And I gotta ask Voice about this because I know that you saw it because you said it in the chat. MJF called Brody King a liberal Nazi.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah.
he fucking went there. And they didn't
I
go
popped.
I know. And I figured you would because of just some conversations we've had with Brody King off air and things like that. Brody
Sure.
King, I love the dude in the ring. He's fantastic in the ring. And he has a very powerful voice outside of the ring, and he uses his voice for what he believes is right and his beliefs, and that's fantastic. I love guys like that. And I said a couple weeks ago, I think if they're going to work an angle with MJF and Brody King in this moment to get the most bang out of your buck, you touch on the social issues that Brody King is willing to put out there.
Yeah.
Because I think him and MJF can understand they can make money doing this. And I think this might be the tip of the iceberg with it. Because what MJF's main job is to get every single person in that place to boo him.
Yep.
And Brody's job is to get everybody to cheer him.
Yeah.
Now the dude he was dressed like a straight up liberal Nazi. I don't know if you've ever seen American History X, but with that minus the clean shaven head, Brody was wearing the outfit that they fucking wear, man. So it was very like it hit on so many levels. And if you're going to make if we're trying to make MJF the ultimate heel of all time, in today's climate, social issues hit deep in any form of entertainment. And it hits deep when you take a stand on one side or the other, whether you're in your character or not. If you take a stand on one side or the other, you're going to get the blowback. And I think that's exactly what they're working with on this one.
Yeah.
And MJF's the perfect guy to do that.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is, man. Mike Redmond, we want to say what is up, bro. So thanks for joining us here. We're talking some AEW, and I'm specifically talking MJF because here's the thing here, and then I'm gonna get OG's thoughts on that particular line, that particular segment, because I wanted to get your thoughts, Voice, for sure. Because of stuff that we've talked about, but I want to get OG's thoughts too because he's watched so much wrestling over the years and how these sometimes these social things get touched in wrestling, and I know OG seen to say this because he called him a liberal Nazi, and I was like, man, that is such an MJF thing to do. Because here's the thing, we all know, if you're a Brody King follower or AEW King's skin, because MJF's character, part of his character and what makes him so unique, what makes him so good is that he has that great ability to poke bears.
Very true. Imagine next Wednesday in Vegas, we see MJF come out with mass security and it says cubed ice on it or something,
Something like exact
something like
something.
that, something
Play around
ridiculous.
with it. Play
Yeah,
around with it. Just play around with it. Because why? Because he pokes bears. He's trying to get under Brody King's skin. He's trying to get him off of his game so that way he can take advantage in this eliminator, beat him, and say, "All right, back of the line, pal. I got other guys that's trying to come up and step up to the champ. You had your chance. I poked the bear. I got in your head. I rented some space in there. You lost. Get out of here." OG, what are your thoughts on that line? He called this man a liberal Nazi. What do you think?
I was a little surprised, but I knew that Josh had brought up where they should go with the story a few weeks ago. So
Yep.
it was kind of that direction. I think if they're going to do it next week, they should have Bandito in the back and have him talk to him before he goes out, and then they should have masked guys. I'm not saying it should say ice on, probably don't want to go that far, but have masked guys come up here and grab Bandito while he's out in the ring
Tony's going.
wrestling a match, and pulling him out, and then he could leave and try to help his friend and lose the match to that
On
thing.
count out, because he's trying to
Tony,
get
I
out.
love
Oh
it.
my.
Yeah.
I
Now
love it.
again, I don't know that I would say ice on the thing or anything like that. That may be a
For
step
sure.
too
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
But maybe definitely masked guys wearing all black or whatever. I mean, it wouldn't shock me because I think Brody knows the business. I think he would. I could be wrong, but I think for the business, I think he would do something like that. I think I know that MJF will for the business. He'd do
Oh
about
yeah.
anything for
Oh
the
yeah.
business to push it. So yeah, I mean, I would have no problem if they did something like that, as long as it's done in the right way.
Yeah, a
And
tasteful
For
way.
sure.
you don't cross the line.
Yeah,
You tiptoe it, but you don't cross the line.
and
That's it
you
right
you
there.
played on it perfectly by not putting ice on it or something like that, because you could easily go. Remember the whole devil angle,
Yep.
the
Yep.
masked men that were around the devil and things like that. You
Yep.
could easily just tamper back into that, play in that area. Tony, I love that, because you know what that reminds me of? Steve Austin and Brian Pillman and
Yep.
the infamous gun moment,
Oh
because
my God.
that is
Yes.
where it needs to be at, because you're right, these men understand the business. And if I was Brody, and if they approached me with this idea, I would say I'm willing to do it, but after the show airs, you have to air a PSA in which I say my side of like the issue that we are tiptoeing around. And honestly, right there, that's how you move things. That's
Yeah.
how you do it.
But that's how, guys. I mean, AEW's doing fine, and I'm not
Mhm.
putting them down. But I mean, their viewership's not near what it was. They need something to
Sure.
push the envelope and to go to the next level and get people to
Yep.
watch. What's everybody see? If you get on your phone right now, you're going to see a reel that involves some of the stuff that's happening out in the world today. I'm not going to go into
Sure.
detail.
Yep.
We all know what we're talking about,
Yep.
Yeah.
and so it's in everybody's face. So why not do a little take of it on wrestling? And I guarantee you, people are going to tune in and say, what is this AEW doing? What are they doing?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to turn on my TV and see. And you not everybody's not going to come back, but you may, slowly you may gain an audience back, because I
Well,
Yep.
still don't know why they lost their audience. I don't understand, but they got to find a way. They need the moves ain't going to do it in the ring. I don't know if a super great story will do it, but they need something to get them going. There's
Yeah.
something to get them in that direction. I think something like this could possibly do it.
well, it worked for Smoky Mountain Wrestling and New Jack.
Yep.
Jim Cornette said, just go with it. The big topic was OJ at the time. And
Yep.
New Jack cut one of the most
Yes.
aggressive, great promos I've ever seen. I mean, they had a guy who literally said no words in the thing. He just looked and held his nose, and it was amazing. So I think Tony, you are 100% on this. I think you need to touch on the pulse of society if you're going to move the needle, and this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have to take a side, but
No.
you can push the envelope, and you can kind of give both sides to a small degree. I think I mean, they need something to get them going. And people say, well, people watching it ain't a big deal. I disagree. I think you got to have an audience, and because the
Yeah.
thing I always think about, and I know people say business don't come into it, but it does into a certain way because I want AEW to remain a product on TV.
Yep.
I want them to be there because it's good for the business, for
It
everybody,
is.
for
Yep.
the wrestlers, for everybody. And if they perfect example, NXT beats them in the ratings right now. NXT is getting paid 20 million a year for their episodes. AEW is getting paid 175 million. And look at what they're paying their roster. So I mean, what would happen if WBD next year say, hey man, we could get NXT for $40 million,
Yeah.
and then where's AEW going to go? Because WWE's got all these other, they got the, and House has talked about because they got all these different places. Well, that's one
Yep.
reason why they do it to corner the market, you know. And
Yeah.
AEW could have a place finding to go. So I don't want that to happen. So I want them to get their audience back and build because I want them to be able to. I think they'll probably go in the streaming direction either way. The next
Yeah. They
contract,
need
but
their own app.
yep,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
So
that'd be smart.
I I like what I like what you're saying, man, because like when I think about it, I'm thinking because what did I say about the show? It was wrestling heavy. It was wrestling
Hmm.
heavy, and that's great. That's amazing. That is awesome. But also, we need that hook. We need that because remember what it was after the pandemic. The Bloodline storyline kept us coming back each and every week, and then we saw what everything else that was happening around the bloodline storyline, and that helps elevate everybody. If there's one big major storyline, one big major thing that's got everybody coming back, then you have a chance to have new people not just see the big storyline that's going on. Also, you can see guys in the undercard that's coming up, like Kyle Fletcher starting to move. He's got movement again. You know, he's doing his thing over there between this interworkings with the Don Callis family, with him and Kazuchika Okada and Takshita. There's that going on, and then Andrade starting to cook a little bit more. There's a lot of things we didn't get a chance to see a whole like huge highlight on the women's division like we have been on this week of Dynamite, just because there was so much wrestling and they only had one match, and I just feel like they didn't have a whole lot of time because there were so many matches in there, and they're just trying to squeeze in that stuff. I'll say this, and then we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back because we still have a couple things that I want to talk about. Mainly, I want to get thoughts on the Kenny Omega story. Is what I want to talk about when we come back. We've got El Juggalo in the chat once again saying whoop whoop
Hmm.
whoop 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 whoop.
Whoop
We
whoop.
appreciate
Back to you,
bro.
fella.
Whoop. Yeah, thanks for coming, bro. But listen, my mindset my mindset is this with AEW. They got to slow down. I thought that all these matches were great, and you can have a lot of great matches, but every single match being great doesn't make a great show. I hope that makes sense. If you have a million matches, then something's got to stagger. And what staggered, I think, in this Dynamite to where I think 7.5 is where it needs to be at. We know what AEW does on their pay per views: super wrestling heavy, super fast paced, super hard hitting. They got to slow down on these dynamites and collisions and slow their pace down to make their stories more clear, concise, and understood. So that way we can follow them easy. And then that way it makes the match is easy to digest as well because you told us a clear cut story. And I just think once again, last night's wrestling was excellent. Excellent wrestling last night, but you got to slow down and tell us the story. We need to be able to have those slow parts. And it's crazy because, like, if you talk to the younger wrestling fans, which I get a chance to talk to them sometimes or whatever, because I always like to get everybody's thoughts on wrestling, not just our age group, our demographic, but the fans and followers of wrestling that's going to come after us, you know. And they love that fast-paced style. They love all the crazy matches. They love a 14 match card, this and that. Uh, but listen, I'm telling you, man, the storytelling is the seasoning that makes the matches better. it makes the matches better. If you've got a great story going into the match that is, you could have a great match bell to bell, great action, great chain wrestling, great high flying action, strong, acts of strength, near falls, dramatic, whatever. And I'm still gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars, unless you have that story going into it. Because if you have that story going into it and you give me that match, then yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 stars. But I'll tell you this: there's never been a match where they had an amazing 5 star match bell to bell, but it just happened because it was a Monday night for no reason. I've never given those a 5 star match. I've never given those 5 stars because I can't qualify like that. Because the only way I can guarantee, this is just me, this is not for anybody else, this is just me. The only way I can guarantee you 5 stars is if the story cooks. If the story cooks leading up to the match and the match cooked, that makes sense, that's my 5 stars. That's it right there. That's how I qualify it. So listen, we're going to take a break because talk about 5 stars. I want to talk about a man who has made it a legend of himself to have 5 star matches. I said his steps was slowing down. I think I am going to have to eat my words. I'm going to do that on the other side of this break.
Hello, everyone. It's the Pope Elijah Burke, founder and president of the Love Alive charity. I wanted to take this brief moment to share with you my charity's continued humanitarian efforts to positively impact the impoverished communities in and around the greater Jacksonville area. This cannot be possible without your support. If you'd be so kind, please take a moment to visit our website, love-alive.org, to learn more about the charity and its mission. Also, feel free to donate to our 501c3 organization that operates off of the donation of the public, which is you. Whether that be by website or via Cash App, $1 help makes a difference in the lives of others as we continue to positively influence many people by being the change that we wish to see in the world.
Welcome to the Brainbuster T-shirt website where your favorite podcast team in your house lives. Look at all these fantastic options you have.
If you want that sweet hype, we got it. You wanna be divinely designed at yours. Have you lost your voice? We have all that voice merch for you. Are you just a part of the household? We got that too. Brainbuster Tees is where IYH live. Brainbuster Tees is where IYH live.
In your house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con, in your house. Hollywood.
Emerge faithful, we're coming out to Emerge 91 Blood and Bone. Since 2019, I have been the executive producer of the In Your House podcast. Since 2021, I've had the opportunity and the privilege to be a part of Emerge Wrestling in Columbus, Indiana. The honor and the privilege to tell all of you, right here in the middle of this ring, that Emerge Wrestling, in collaboration with the In Your House Network, will be at the Squared Circle Expo this March in Indianapolis. Emerge Wrestling in your house. We'll see you in March.
Hey, O'Con, in your house. Hollywood, in your house. Hey guys, it's the executive producer of the In Your House podcast, Alakon the Con Man House, here to tell you on this commercial break to like and subscribe to In Your House on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at the In Your House Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe on Twitch at Team IYH. And remember to follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And leave a review and 5-star rating. We thank you for your continued support. It all helps for us to stay charted and continue to give you that work. Hey guys, welcome back to In Your House. We're talking some AEW Dynamite, 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 and we are rolling on. But before we talk about a man who's making me eat my words, let me tell you what I eat that helps me keep my energy going, keep my blood pressure in check. That's Goalie Nutrition. Goalie Gummies, more specifically, check out everything that they've got. Whether you need some energy with the apple cider vinegar gummies, or you need to keep your hypertension in check with the beet gummies, or get that focus with the Matcha Mind gummies, you can check out all the products that they have. All you got to do is go to goalie.com, and hey, we can help you out. Hear it in your house. If you go to checkout and put in promo code IYH, you'll get a 10% discount. And man, we just want to get you started and get you rolling and going on your wellness journey. And check out everything we're doing on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on X. And then on demand, the audio version on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, where a lot of our listeners go to listen to in your house. So we are talking some AEW, and I just said, I teased it before the break, a man that who's making me eat my words, that is Kenny Omega, because one thing that has been compelling to me is the rise of him and having, he's taking on opponents, pretty much wrestling weekly, which I came on this show and I said, man, a couple of matches that he had when he first came back, I'm like, oh man, is Kenny Omega's steps starting to slow down? I mean, I know he had the diverticulitis, so it's like I'm not shading him or anything like that. I'm just saying, Father Time, he's yeah, you can't do nothing about that. He's undefeated. So I just thought with those first couple of matches, I was like, ooh, it's not. This is not the Kenny that I'm used to. This is not, the Kenny in the Tokyo Dome that I was watching all those years ago and whatnot. But you know what? The last couple of matches that he's had, he's kind of shown flashes of coming back and being that guy. He's had some great matches over these last couple of weeks. He had, like I said earlier, he had the match against Rocky Romero, who he's wrestled a lot, but I think they condensed that match for TV. I think the goal here is to keep Kenny Omega getting good victories, keep him on the up and up, so that way, when it's time for him to get that, AEW championship match, whether that be in Australia, whether that be in LA for Revolution, it's going to make sense. And we're going to see that he's going to face Andrade, who won his match in the main event of Dynamite last night. But I want to stay with Kenny Omega because it's starting to move a little bit more. It's still somewhat, I don't want to say it's in his infancy. I think we're a good few weeks into this now. But I want to ask you, OG, where are you at with the story of Kenny Omega and him trying to ascend towards the AEW World Heavyweight Championship?
I agree with you. He's definitely looking better than what he did a couple months ago or a few weeks ago. Looks like he's getting healthier.
Yeah.
And who knows? I know my wife has diverticulitis. It can flare
Mm,
up, so
yeah.
you just don't know what the person's going through
Yeah.
at that time. So, but
Hmm.
I think his title shots are going to be blocked. I think he's going to be in a big feud with Don Callis' family, and I think it's going to be with
Yeah.
Andrade for a while. Because if you guys remember correct, when Andrade first came back a few months ago, he attacked Kenny, and then of course
He did.
there were some legal problems, and Andrade was gone for a while, so now he's back. So I think that's one reason why Andrade might have beat Swerve to get back to this feud. And so I think this
Sure.
is going to eat up some time. So I don't know if Omega's going to get a title shot right away. I think you may see it at All in England
Yeah.
if Osprey is not back yet, which I know Osprey's still try to come back. But I think I think Kenny's going to be tied up with the Callis family. That's just my opinion.
Sure. No, and he's even mentioned it in promos that he's still got smoke with the Don Callis family, which man, that's I got to tell you, that's a beast to take down. It's I know I've said it before, but that's 1998 NWO levels of faction members. So like I don't know how I don't know what you're gonna do, but I got to throw it here to my brother Voice, man. Where are you at with the current direction of Kenny Omega?
I like the picture Tony's painting for Kenny. I think a good feud with Andrade would be awesome. Kenny Omega, we have critiqued some of his matches since he's been back and said, maybe time is catching up with him. But then he performs like he did last night,
Yeah.
and it's old Kenny Omega. I mean, I'm looking right over here, and I have the full gear poster of him going up against Hangman, and
Yeah.
it's just I'm looking over there. Kenny's got the goatee thing that goes up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's when I remember him having fun. And I know going through this illness, this affliction he has.
Diverticulitis. Yeah.
Yeah, my mother-in-law has the same thing, and I Tony's right. It can flare up at any time,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what's being eat, what they're ingesting, and things like that. And your body works in mysterious ways, but right now his body seems to be working like old Kenny Omega,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. But I think teaming him up against in a good feud with the Callis family, but with Andrade at the head of that, I mean that's money right there.
Yeah.
Andrade, real quick before we move on, to me, Andrade seems like a guy who's just like when he's in AEW, he's willing to experiment in matches.
Yeah.
Like him and
Yeah.
Swerve both have that mentality, and I love stuff like that. That reminds me of old RVD and Sabu ECW matches. They're just going out there and feeling off the crowd, and uh, to put him with Kenny in a feud, that would get both of these guys where you want them in your promotion.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I was literally the next thing because I already know the last thing we're going to talk about. We're definitely going to get to that before we slide out of here. Call this a really great episode, but I want to talk about and stay right there with Andrade because we know what Andrade is capable of. I think a lot of people would say that Andrade is one of those guys that they love tangling with because when they wrestle Andrade, they come out on the other side better for it. He's one of those guys. He's
Yeah,
one of those guys that understands when he's in ring. Smooth, great in ring style, and can work with just about damn near anybody. So the reason I want to stay with him is because what they're doing with him right now is intriguing me as well
yeah,
because he's jumping right up the card quickly. And that's like we're seeing that, and that's kind of a trend right now, a little bit, not just in AEW, but also in WWE. When I think about Trick Williams and how quickly he's ascended into the main event, how they're kind of slow building, but Javon Evans is about to come up and do some big things. And then even in AEW, as soon as Davis and Doyle came up, they got signed, and then boom, they're in a tag team championship opportunity. So like I'm seeing a lot of fast tracking, and I got to be honest with you, I don't hate it. So as much as I love storytelling, especially slow burn storytelling. I think sometimes especially in this current climate of professional wrestling, sometimes the long term storytelling stuff don't really work, because we have such a give it to me now society. So you got to be give and take with the long-term storytelling because if you go too long, you're gonna lose them, and that's just what it is right now with the way
true.
that people consume media. But with Andrade, I'm loving to see it because here's the thing, Voice, you've covered Andrade in his time in AEW before he left the company and came back to WWE when he was on Collision. And then you really covered him in his work in his series, his 7-match series with Carmelo Hayes. Bro, now he's about to go next week, and we're going to see what. And this is such a sleeper to me because I feel like people aren't talking about it like that. We're going to see Kenny Omega versus Andrade.
Yeah,
Do I need to say anything else? Kenny Omega versus Andrade El Idolo. Two of the best overall wrestlers in the ring right now are about to touch. And there's going to be an AEW championship opportunity on the line. This is great. This has the opportunity to be a great, great match with high stakes. Voice, where are you at right now? We talked about Kenny Omega. Now I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to get Tony's thoughts on where we're at with Andrade.
I think we're right where Andrade needs to be, and we talked about it a lot with Naomi going back to the WWE and working her butt off. It seems like Andrade, when he left AEW, he kind of made Tony go, I kind of miss Andrade. I like what he brought to the table, because look at,
Yeah.
like, you could have easily just developed a whole new storyline for Andrade and introducing him back into AEW, because the, like you even talked about, Tony, the viewership is down. So I mean, the newer viewers you have may not know Andrade was in AEW, so you could have took that route and went somewhere else, but you stuck with a story that a lot of us were kind of disappointed never got finished. You know, you get Kenny Omega having to leave for his injury, his
Illness, yeah.
illness. Yeah. And then Andrade leaving because he's got more money over here at this
Yeah.
place, you know? I mean,
Yep.
everybody, it's like it works in mysterious ways, the world, and everybody was in their spot, but it seems like Andrade might be treated a little better, I guess. Whatever drove him away besides the money of or to WWE back to them, um, seems to be like maybe Andrade has turned a new leaf. Maybe, you know, those the court stuff that he had, the lawsuits and all that stuff that were coming up, and then he took his little vacation, went and did whatever he did. Maybe that was what he needed, because we were getting a stale Andrade in WWE at the end. It wasn't anything that anybody was really talking about. The biggest thing you can talk about on his comeback is the Carmelo Hayes thing.
Yeah.
Outside
Yep.
of that, there's really nothing to talk about with Andrade coming back to WWE. We built things up in our mind for him because we had Penta coming around, shit like that.
Yeah.
We were like, oh shit, we could really build here.
Yeah. Stable with him and the Lucha Brothers. Yeah, we talked about that for a while.
But I think it's perfect putting him in with the Don Callis family. Things like that. Andrade is one of those guys that you can put out there and he can be your shiny centerpiece for your family. And he's vicious in the ring, man. Like him and Swerve went at it last night. That
Oh yeah, they had a
Tony,
good match.
I wanted to ask you real quick, Tony, how many times in your viewing years and years and years, and then this is where the meme pops up, 10 days later, years and years of watching wrestling, have you ever seen that barricade spot that they did? I mean, it wasn't the best, but I've never seen two guys stand on the barricade and then one guy basically do I don't even know what he did to swerve onto the barricade. It was like a neck breaker, but using the barricade to fuck him up that way. Like I've never seen that.
I hadn't either. Not quite that way. No,
Yeah.
no, I haven't either. No, I haven't either.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, it was
man.
good.
And to me, they're out there painting. They're out there
Yeah.
being the Picasso. They're out there being the Michelangelo. They're seeing what limits are within the mat. And it's like Sabu said, if you color inside the lines, man, you're gonna get lost.
Yep.
I color outside the lines because
Yep. He said I don't paint inside the lines. Yep.
you can't. And Andrade gets that. Swerve, we know, gets that. I mean, the dude
Oh,
just
for sure.
oozes that. But I love where he's at. Sorry, I went too long on that one. But I love Andrade.
you're-
I
I
fucking
know.
love
You covered
Andrade.
You covered him for so long, man. That's why I wanted to get your thoughts on him, and I want to get OG's thoughts because I know that when we talked about Andrade a few weeks ago, it was somebody that kind of had to win you back, man. And for fair reason, you know. Andrade got all the tools, every God-given talent that he can get to be where he needs to be at. Sometimes he does get in his own way, but I'm hoping in this situation that's not what happens. OG, where are you at currently with Andrade?
Yeah, I think he's where he should be. I think AEW is a better fit for him. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the reason I say that is because WWE, especially under TKO, it's a little different now because a lot of things are done by how if you're getting crowd reactions, if you're
Hmm.
getting if you're selling merchandise, it's kind of a different thing.
Mhm.
Where
Yeah,
AEW is more towards work rate, and everybody knows Andrade can work with the best of them. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
oh yeah,
he's as good as anybody. I mean, I know everybody thinks Kenny. I wouldn't say Kenny Omega's a lot better than Andrade. I wouldn't say Swerve's a lot. I mean, Andrade's right there with any of these guys. So
he is.
he's got the ability, and I think he gets inside his own head sometimes, thinking that he knows how good he is. I mean, he's got an
Yeah.
ego, just like anybody. Most wrestlers do have an ego. If
Yep.
you're going to be
Oh
good,
yeah.
you got to have an ego. So I'm not putting him down, but I think he got in his own way, like you said sometimes. But it's, I watch WWE more than I do. Like I said, I don't watch Collision a whole lot because of other sports and things on Saturdays. But to me, I loved Andrade, so I miss him in WWE. But I also think he's where he needs to be.
Yeah.
If he's going to shine, if he's going to make it, if he's going to go to the next level, it's going to be in AEW. It's not going to be in WWE. That's just, I mean, it's just the truth of the matter. I'm not, I think
No, I
that's
think
where he
that's fair.
belongs. I think that's where he belongs, and I think he's on his way. I think he's moving in the right direction. The only thing I wish with Don Callis' family, and I know we joke about it, had them having 10, 12, 14 guys. I think if they would cut down to 4 or 5, it would make the group more impactful.
I
Mm.
think so too.
I
I
think
agree.
because you stop and think about it with the main 4 or 5 guys, how good that group is. When you think about their big 4 or 5 with Andrade and the other guys, I mean, you're talking about as
Fletcher, yeah.
Fletcher. You're talking about 4 or 5 guys that are as good as anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the wrestling game. But and I'm not putting down the other guys, but they are, they're bit players right now. And
Yeah.
I just wish they could cut that down and move in a different direction. I think the group would be a lot more important.
I think
That's
I like that take there, Tony, because it also plays into, those stadium matches they do.
Yep.
What if
Yeah.
some of those guys in the Don Callis family get a little upset because they're not getting the attention like the
Yep.
main guys? So they split off and team up with Kenny Omega and form the ex Don Callis family. And then they have another one of those big ass stadium
Those big
matches.
stadium stampede matches. Yeah.
Well, guys,
They
I
got
was I
creative
was
with that one.
I was scared that Ciampa was going to come in and be a
Yeah.
Don Callis family.
Dude,
Yeah,
it
like I'm like,
crossed my mind
I
too.
was I was I was worried that's where they was going to go, and I said, please don't do that, please don't,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
mean I love Josh Alexander, and right now he's 6 or 7 guy in the group, and
Yep.
he's too good to be a 6 or 7 guy in the group. That's just my opinion. Because I
I
think he's a
agree.
great talent, and I hope it change, and I think it probably will change. I think he'll get moved up the card. But I got one question for you guys, just real quick. Do you guys think
Sure.
Champa? Do you think Champa wins on Collision Saturday night? You think he takes the belt on Saturday night from? Oh, I can't remember his name right now.
Mark Briscoe. Yeah. Mark
Briscoe.
Mark
Briscoe.
Briscoe. Yes.
Oh,
You forgot
man.
my name, Daddy.
Yep.
No, so that's a great question because and literally perfect segue because the last I want to talk about on this episode of the AEW Dynamite review show was Ciampa's debut. We'll talk about that for sure. But as far as that, bro, honestly, I think he's gotta win Saturday. I think if you want to cap it off, that like, hey, because when I think about, just roll with me, fellas, roll with me, fellas. When I think about why, what's the why here? Why did Tommaso Ciampa leave WWE? Cush gig, right? I get to tag team up with my best friend. I can collect a few tag team championships, maybe become a 6, 7, 8 time tag team champion. Travel the world, make a lot of money doing it. Why would I leave? One thing, and Tony just said it just a few minutes ago. Every wrestler has an ego. And I feel, I don't know, I've never been in the same room as Tommaso Ciampa. I've never talked to this man. But when I assess the situation, I think that he looks at how he was perceived in his time in NXT when he was the Psycho Killer, but they didn't call him the Psycho Killer because they don't want to say that stuff on WWE television.
Yeah.
But the character was there. The obsession with Goldie was there. The sadistic heel was there. It was all right there. And then he comes to the main roster thinking that this is a guy that he can be. And all they have for him is tag team work. And where I'm like, listen, I know this guy is excited to be working with his best friend and the biggest wrestling company in the United States. But I think this guy saw the landscape of wrestling. I think he saw an opportunity for himself. And I think that he jumped on it. Now, I will say this, I'm surprised that it happened as quick as it did. I really am.
Hmm.
Because WWE with their no compete clauses is a big thing. But I think that because he wasn't released
Yep.
and his contract just expired, I don't think a no compete clause comes with that.
No.
Exactly. Washed his hands of it all.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, and I'm gonna give it to Voice because I want to get his thoughts on the debut, and then also answer Tony's question as well. I think he's got to win on Saturday because you're cementing him as a guy that you're going with right off the bat. It's exactly what I think he wanted was a solo run and to be able to be looked at as a guy who could go on a solo run and be a upper mid card to main event guy. Now I don't know if he's going to be an AEW World Heavyweight Champion, but I could definitely see him in an international championship conversation or in the TNT championship conversation for sure. I think yes, he does win Saturday on Collision. Voice, where are you at? Your thoughts, and of course the debut of Tommaso Ciampa on AEW television.
Well, I mean, you kind of pigeonholed him by labeling him the psycho killer. I mean, and plus, come on, Tony, why didn't they go with he's a psycho killer?
Yeah.
Like I was waiting for that when I see that graphic. I thought it was awesome. But I will say this: if you're a person who enjoys wrestling, you do exactly what we do. They did drop an Easter egg of him coming to AEW. The Monday before this Wednesday, they dropped his very own shirt on the independent wrestling
Pro
websites.
Wrestling Tees, yeah.
Yes, pro wrestling tees, things like that. They dropped his shirt. And when that happens, that usually means that wrestler is ready to go and sell that merch and make people come to and get that merch. So there was a little bit of, I guess it was in my own conspiracy world. That's where I went. I love it. I'm glad he's at a place to cement his legacy to where it's not just burned out being with Gargano. And yes, is there something to take pride in of being a 6-7 time tag team champion? Of course there is. But that's
Yes.
not Ciampa. That is not him. That
Yeah.
if his legacy, you were a hand-picked Triple H guy. Do you know what that means to a Triple H fan like me? That means you are the next game. You are the next level. You are the next guy. So I'm glad that he is somewhere doing what he loves and he's not just collecting a check or just sitting at home or guesting on podcasts, things like that. It's
Yeah.
going to be exciting. So yeah, Tony, I think you have to give him that big win right off the bat. He just has to have it. Just give it to him because that's storytelling. And we all know the Tony Khan he's not a fan of storytelling. He kind of thinks storytelling's secondary. It's absolutely not.
It's
No
not.
one's watching soap operas for just the kissing and touching scenes because they don't go far enough. So you're not watching them for that. You're
Nope.
watching them for the goddamn story because you need to know who put Samantha in a fucking coma.
Yep.
Yep.
It's basic. It's simple television.
That's true.
It is. It really is. No, it really. I love what you're saying, man. I love what you're saying. I think you got to go with it for sure.
You got to.
I thought as far as the debut goes, I felt the energy off of him, fellas. Like I felt you get like when you know somebody returns from an injury or returns after not being in wrestling for a while or goes from one company to another or their career gets rejuvenated. You feel that energy. You feel that this is fresh. This is new. I felt that off of him, and I think it's going to be great. I love the confrontation. Him and Mark Briscoe are going to cook for sure. I don't know how much they touched in Ring of Honor because I didn't watch a whole lot of Tommaso Ciampa's time in Ring of Honor. He wasn't there for a lot of time, so I don't know if they touched when he was there back in like 2013. But it's gonna be great. But I do have concerns though because I think we talked about it. I think it was before the show, before we went on the air. Um, like Champa, think he's a great talent, hard hitting, strong style ability, great matches that he's had over the years, most predominantly with his best friend Johnny Gargano. But well documented neck injuries, man, and man, when your neck is hanging on by a thread, like that thing is, oof, man, like it's tough, man. It is, oof. It worries me. It really, really. I'm trying to find the right words for this. You know, Tony said it himself. What's important in AEW? Work rate.
Yep.
These guys work fast. They work snug. There is there's very little margin of error with the way these guys work. Like you can't. There's literally one small move. One. This. I just want to emphasize this, y'all. One wrong move. One just small done botch could put him on the shelf for
Yep.
a long time, and it could be worse than that. And I do not wish that on nobody. You know what I'm saying? But when your neck is put together by MacGyver, I'm gonna worry about you, bro. OG, I know we talked about it before the show. I want to get some of your thoughts on Champa's on Champa's debut. I also want you to answer your own question if you think that he's gonna win on Saturday. And then, man, the neck. We got to talk about it. Where are you at?
Yeah. First of all, I think he's going to win. I think you hype him up that much. I think you gotta win that match. I think if Josh Alexander when he came in, he lost his first match, and
Yeah,
True. Fair
I,
point.
yeah,
I think Champ needs to win this match, and I think it's also for another reason, guys. I think Tony Khan may send a message to other WWE people. This,
Oh,
this would
oh
be
my God.
this would be perfect. Hey, you come here. Look what we just did with Ciampa, man. He gets the belt his first match. We're hyping him up right off the bat. We're giving him an opportunity to prove himself right off the bat, and because the WWE's did that with a lot of people that came over from AEW. They've give them opportunities fairly quick in most cases that's come over. So I think he'll send the same message. I think if he doesn't, I think he's making a mistake. I think you got to put that
Oh yeah.
belt on Ciampa. Uh, I yeah, I love Ciampa. It's another one, guys. Ciampa is better off in AEW. He's done all
Yeah.
this time. I think he was a perfect fit for NXT for what NXT was. He was a huge star there, one of my favorites. He just really didn't fit the WWE big roster mold. He just
No.
I
especially
couldn't agree with that.
nowadays. Five,
Yeah.
5 years ago, if Triple H would have gotten to been the main guy and TKO didn't buy it, it may be a different story. But things have changed, so I think he's where he needs to be. I am very concerned about his health because I seen the interview he did uh, as a written interview, but he's planning on. He says he's going to wrestle 10 more years.
10 years?
He
10
getting
more
a
years.
robot neck?
Yeah, he said he plans on. He said he didn't want to spend the next 10 years in basically in the background. I don't think that's the exact word he used, but he wanted to go out the way he wanted to go out, and he wanted to go out with a bang for the next 10 years, and that's what he said. So 10 years, I don't know, guys. That's a long time, and especially with a guy that's got an injured
True.
neck. So, but yeah, I'm excited for him. He looked happy
Yeah.
standing in
Yeah,
that
he
ring.
looked very happy.
He looked happy. He looked excited. I thought he went out with WWE the way he went out. Lost his last match against Dragunov. I thought he went out like a professional. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if he wanted to go back, needed to go back to WWE, there's no doubt in my mind Triple H would take him back in a heartbeat. I think I don't think there's any ill will on either part there. I think he in his heart and his brain, I've got more to give, and I need an
Yeah.
opportunity to do it. So I think again, just like Andrade, I think they're where they need to be.
I love
I
what you're
love it.
saying, man. I do. I love what you're saying. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. I just looked up his age. He's 40 now, so he's not like up there. And I literally was just gushing about Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles about like how AJ is looking amazing in ring at 49 years old. Rey Mysterio, yes, I talked about it on my solo shot that he got hurt and OG was in the chat for that one. But still, at 51 years old, the pace that he's going at is insane. So I'm not saying that him wrestling 10 more years is absolutely like out of the question. But when I factor in his neck, I just don't know. Voice, I want to get your final thoughts as far as Ciampa and the next situation and how long you think he'll really last in the landscape of what AEW is in the style that they have.
Well, I respect and love these guys so much that if he says he's got 10 years that he can do this, I think he's got 10 years he can do this. I
Okay.
mean, we went through the Shawn Michaels injury, and then he came back and was, I mean, still fantastic. He was still
Like
Shawn Michaels.
around 2005 and whatnot. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
incredible.
I mean, it was still great to see. And the way we talk about the medicines and the treatments that they have, and just imagine what they're going to have in 3 years. You know, the possibility, I'm not going to say is completely false. He can't do it, but the neck is definitely a spot on the body you want to be concerned about, especially when you're doing this type of entertainment. And hopefully he gets that 10 years that he wants. I mean, I would love to see it. And maybe this is his plan. Maybe he does a big stint in AEW and they pull the Naomi card. And they're like, dude, you're doing so fantastic over here. We got to have you back. And they just throw the money at him. And then he comes back and finishes out his career at WWE, if that's what he wants to do. I don't know what
Sure.
he wants to do, but I do know that I enjoy seeing him in a ring. And this is one of the best moves Tony has done in a long time for me personally. It's got me reinvested in Ciampa. And I was a month ago, I was telling Ciampa and Gargano garbage. I don't even want to see him on my TV anymore. So
Yeah. Is that's crazy how a change of scenery could do that, man. How that and I gotta say, I'll give it to Tony Khan. He's taking some chances because if you really think about it, he's had a very transactional January,
yeah,
very transactional. Signed some lower card talent, so like Alec Price and Jordan Oliver. Signed those guys, signed Dave, Jake something Joyle. Sucks about the injury, but signed him to a contract. Solid. I think so. Like, and then we're gonna slide out here. Call it's a really great episode, but I just want to make sure I'm saying this while I'm thinking about it. Um, what I think Tony Khan is doing is, and I want to put it to you guys like this, and maybe you guys are understanding a little bit better how I'm saying it. I feel like when he sees guys like Kenny Omega, like Swerve Strickland, Hangman Adam Page, MJF, and now even names like Mercedes Moné, even though she's off TV, and then like Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. Not so much like equating, but I'm thinking about like those are the big pieces of your team. You know what I'm saying? That's your Michael Jordan, that's your Dennis Rodman, that's your Scottie Pippen, But then what you're trying to do is you're trying to build around that. You know what I'm saying? So now you have, your Teklas, you have your Jake Doyles, you have your Alec Price and Jordan Oliver, you have your Rascal signings or whatever. You've got your big name talents. Now you're kind of building around that, and you're getting your Luke Longleys, you're getting your Ron Harpers, your Tony Kukoc is, your Steve Kerrs. That's who you're getting. the pieces around the big names that makes everything fit. And I think from my vantage point, I want to commend Tony Khan because I think he's had a very transactional January, and it's really moving some things around to put guys in better spots and give opportunities to new guys.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And, just to reiterate, I mean, Ciampa looked like he was ready to be back in those NXT days where he was really
Hmm.
drawing a crowd. And that a different type of scenery will bring that out of these guys because it is an ego-based entertainment. And when you got that crowd just pumping behind you because you just made a statement to Mark Briscoe, the guy who's been getting fans to love him, and because he's the lovable hillbilly idiot. And
Yeah.
who doesn't have a friend who's just a hillbilly idiot? You got to get your car fixed every once in a while. So Mark Briscoe is there. You have Ciampa coming in. This is a perfect spot. Pull the trigger, Tony. Give him that title. Give him that win, and then give us a banger of a series with him and Briscoe just going at it.
I love it. I love it. I love what you're saying there. I love this episode. So man, it was always great to come together on a Thursday with my guy Voice, my guy OG Tony. It is great. And I know OG has like 5 more shows tonight. He'll be done at like 3 o'clock in the morning with all his shows. But but man, we love the work ethic, and we love you making time to come and talk to us and talk some AEW. Man, you are just a great fun get. Hey, I want to extend the opportunity to you. You don't have to answer right now. We could talk about it off the air or later on in the chat or whatever. But I want to do it right now before I give you the opportunity to plug everything that you want to plug. This Sunday, we are going to be doing my big birthday bash Royal Rumble recap. We're going to be talking all things Royal Rumble, everything going down. It's going to be fun. I want to extend an invitation for you, if you are available, to come on that show and come on and talk some Royal Rumble with your boy on his birthday. So once again, don't have to answer now if you have other, obligations or anything, but the invitation is there and I'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, it
What the
shouldn't be
hell's
a
that all about?
problem.
You gonna spend it now?
Just let me know what time. Just let me know what
I
time
got
it's gonna
you.
be a problem.
Great, great. We'll talk off the air for sure. And now I want to give you the opportunity to plug anything that you're doing. I know you're on a lot of shows, man. Hard working, man. One of the hardest working man in podcasting right now. Where can they catch you in everything you're doing, OG?
Well, tonight, here just a little bit, about 15 minutes. Got Face or Heel Pro Wrestling Talk. Got a new format tonight, so people
Ooh,
might check
okay.
that out. We're doing something a little different. I think that'll work better for us. I wasn't upset with what we was doing. I just thought we could do better, so we're changing things up a little bit. And then at
Sure.
10 o'clock, we have our Thursday night Blitz. We'll be talking all kinds of football stuff. So got a good show there. And also, people check out a show we did this past Monday. We had Ring of Honor, former Ring of Honor superstar, also was a huge wrestler in Japan. Michael Elgin was on the show
Oh,
with
Elgin,
us
yeah.
this past Monday, and we've had a lot of good response on there. A lot of people have watched it, so we appreciate the fans checking that out. And if you haven't checked it out, we've got clips on our site from the show
I've
and
seen some of
also
the clips.
the host
It
show.
was great.
It was really good. We're going to have him on again because 45 minutes wasn't enough. So we could do a 5-part series with him because he talked a lot about working in Mexico. He talked a lot about working in Japan. A place
Yeah.
that he ate, a restaurant that he ate in Japan, where if you ate there, they give you a jacket. He said he got 3 jackets from there. It was very old school thing.
Rivera?
Yeah, I think so. He was
Yes.
telling stories about that. It was really good, and so we was real excited to have him on. Great guy. We've met him at some shows, and I've got to sit down and talk to him about pro wrestling. 30 minutes at a time. So it's a lot of fun. He's a very knowledgeable guy.
Oh yeah, he knows his stuff for certain. Former Ring of Honor World Champion as well, I do believe.
Yes, yes.
Um, So just and I remember watching him back in those days. Insane work rate. So yeah, check that out, guys. Check out everything they're doing. Gonzo Sports Room, Gonzo Wrestling Room, and they're, man, just doing great work. So check them out. And Voice. You know I got to show you love, man. You do a great job. You do mini shows for us, man. And you're gonna be joining me this Sunday. It's gonna be a blast, man. We're gonna talk some Royal Rumble. I'm excited about it to chat with my boys on my birthday. But where can they catch you and everything you're doing?
All right, fans. So if you enjoyed what we had here tonight, it's a fun show. It's a great show. It's the Dynamite show. It's AEW. It's me, OG Tony, and Howse. You can stop here every Thursday, 6-ish is when we start. So be subscribed, be liked, be shared, be all those things that progress the social media algorithms that get us all the things that we enjoy. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But 6 p.m. Thursdays, that's what we do here. It's a fun time. Outside of that, you can join us on Tuesday. It's the Monday Night Raw review show on a Tuesday with me and the Chaos Goblin himself, Kevin Calloway, where we talk Monday Night Raw. Kevin gives some great insight because he's the ginger Jesus. He's the guy who he just gives a lot of great information, and a lot of the fans love and respect him. So come join us for that one. It's always a fun time, and that is at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, a very fun time. Outside of that, it's one of the biggest shows that In Your House does. It's the ECW Watch Along Show. That's where me and House, we sit down and we watch. That's right, ECW. We watch chairs, we watch fire, we watch guys almost die. We watch some of the best luchadors to ever put on a mask and run the ropes. It's a fun damn time, and we invite you to join me and House at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday where we sit down and we watch ECW. It's a fun time. Squared Circle Expo's coming up. There's so many greats that are going to be there. Gangrel's going to be there. I'm going to try to get so much time with that dude. I want to pick his brain so much. And I want to give him my insight on what I think of the Sisters of Sin and, and see where he's at with that.
Yeah, I love that.
There's so many opportunities that are going to be at this place. They did drop. Squared Circle Expo did drop Saturday. Single day passes are right now at 50% sold out. So if you are trying to see these greats and trying to get into In Your House and get on our camera, you need to get your damn ticket. You need to go there, buy it, and get it done, because this is going to be a banger. This is going to cement. People are going to talk about it. In Your House, we need them at our expo. How do we get them? And they're going to find out, because it's going to be a movie. Like House says, hopefully we get some friends coming up there. Danny Ocean was talking about possibly swinging up there and swinging with us there. OG Tony, that would be great if we could get you out there. I want to make this the biggest thing In Your House has ever done, and we're moving in that direction. Sorry, Tony, for keeping you, but I love In Your House.
Man. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, man. No, I definitely would love to see OG there. We want to have some great shows out there for the expo. We're going to be doing some live shows, doing some interactive stuff. I'm really excited about everything that In Your House is going to do. Check us out. Check out Emerge Wrestling. We're doing that together. It is going to be a great time. Only thing I really want to talk about is this Sunday. This Sunday is our birthday bash Royal Rumble recap. My favorite pay-per-view of the year is the Royal Rumble. Last year, I got a chance to go to my first ever Royal Rumble on my birthday.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest days of my entire life. This year, I said it was one of the greatest days of my entire life. And this Sunday, I want to hang out with you guys. I want to hang out with The Voice. I want to hang out with OG Tony. I want to hang out with Hype. I want to hang out with all you guys out there in the household. Yeah, that's right. All you guys out there in the chat. El Juggalo, you're invited to it. Bruzy, you're invited. Nightwing, you're invited. All of our brothers out here. Danny Garcia, you're invited. All of our guys out here, you're all invited to come celebrate this, talk some Royal Rumble. It's this Sunday, 1 o'clock. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a great time with me and my guys. We're talking Royal Rumble. We're talking wrestling. And, man, I know we have fun with it, but still, it's part of that work. And it's HOWSE, and the W stands for work. So, for OG Tony Gonzalez from Gonzo Sports Room, Gonzo Wrestling Room, for the voice, Josh Joseph, and the whole team here in your house, I'm Alakan, the Concept House, here to remind you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to hop on this bandwagon, get on or get gone. Because the household is still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.
Dynamite, 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 dynamite.